Mary Walker, and I'll be giving a brief presentation on women's heart health for the Village's Health. We will take a look at cardiovascular disease in women and the scope of the problem, how your cardiovascular system becomes compromised, leading to the cardiovascular disease, and lastly, what can be done. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women each year, causing 1 in 3 deaths. Cardiovascular disease kills more women than all forms of cancer combined, and yet only 44% recognize that cardiovascular disease is their greatest health threat. Among females 20 years and older in this country, nearly 45% or half are living with some form of cardiovascular disease. The good news is that most cardiac and stroke events can be prevented through education and lifestyle changes, such as moving more, eating smart, and managing blood pressure. In order to understand why cardiovascular disease is so prevalent, it's helpful to realize that your cardiovascular system consists of more than your heart. It also includes millions of blood vessels in your body. Blood vessels are elastic-like tubes that carry blood to every part of your body. They include arteries that take blood away from the heart, veins that return blood back to your heart, and capillaries, which are your tiniest blood vessels linking small veins and arteries that deliver oxygen and nutrients to your tissues and take away their waste. Compromises to the blood vessels in your body are responsible for most all cardiovascular disease. Image 1 shows how the buildup of cholesterol inside blood vessel walls leads to the narrowing and potential closing of a valuable passageway needed for the transportation of vital blood flow, oxygen, and nutrients. Depending on where the blockage occurs determines the symptoms you will experience. If the plaque from this cholesterol buildup becomes brittle or inflamed, it may rupture, causing a blood clot. Image 2 shows how a traveling blood clot can block vital passageways. This is especially dangerous in the brain, which can lead to a stroke when oxygen can't reach brain cells. Image 3 illustrates how excess blood sugar decreases the elasticity of blood vessels and causes them to narrow, impeding blood flow. This can lead to a reduced supply of blood and oxygen, again, increasing the risk of high blood pressure and damage to large and small blood vessels. High blood sugar also causes vascular tears inside the vessel walls, causing cholesterol to gum up along them and also weaken, becoming susceptible to an aneurysm. Over time, the constant pressure of blood moving through a weakened artery, weakened by the high blood sugar, can cause a section of its wall to enlarge and form a bulge, which is an aneurysm. An aneurysm can potentially rupture and cause life-threatening internal bleeding. Image 4 shows how high blood pressure damage leads to narrowed arteries. High blood pressure can damage the cells of the artery's inner lining. Then when fats from the diet enter the bloodstream, they collect in these damaged areas of the artery. Eventually, the artery walls become less elastic, limiting blood flow throughout the entire body. Based on seeing the previous images, you can understand why high cholesterol, high blood sugar, and high blood pressure are among the leading risk factors for heart attack and stroke. The other two, which we haven't addressed here, are stress and smoking. The good news is that all of these are 100% controllable. The difference between this current slide and the previous one is that I've added 4 of the leading contributors to the 5 major risk factors for heart attack and stroke in women. These are an unhealthy diet, lack of physical activity, unhealthy personal boundaries, and a lack of sufficient coping strategies. An unhealthy diet can lead to high cholesterol, high blood sugar, and high blood pressure based on your dietary choices. Physical inactivity can also lead to the same: high cholesterol, high blood sugar, and high blood pressure. Unhealthy personal boundaries can play a role when you don't know how to say no and you end up taking on more responsibility than you can or should handle, which leads to stress. Not feeling comfortable to ask for help when you need it can also contribute to stress. Not only does the stress elevate levels of cortisol, which can increase your blood cholesterol, triglycerides, blood sugar, and blood pressure, but it may also tempt you with unhealthy coping strategies like emotional eating or drug and alcohol use. Therefore, by addressing any unhealthy lifestyle choices upstream, we can avoid most cardiovascular disease downstream. So the basic recommendations are listed here. Use up at least as many calories as you bring in, which equates to at least about 150 minutes of exercise or physical activity per week. So based on the number of calories you're consuming, you need to make sure that you burn the equal amount in order not to gain weight or burn more if you want to lose weight. It's important to eat an overall healthy diet that emphasizes a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, healthy sources of protein, and then limit processed foods, sugar, salt, and alcohol. Don't smoke, and also seek resources when confronted by a stressful situation that you don't know how to handle or have never been through before. I'm certain that none of these tips are new to you, but hopefully, after being able to literally see the negative impact of unhealthy lifestyle choices on your blood vessels, you may decide to start making some small changes in a healthier direction if you aren't currently doing so. Thank you for joining for this brief presentation on women's cardiovascular health.